Well, don't get too comfortable. We want you to rise now, please, for the singing of the national anthem of the United States. Please be seated. I was almost ready to volunteer to sing, but I just looked across the stage and the faculty here, and most of us are recent, well, not recent, but relative transfers from other countries. So I have a fear that we wouldn't have mastered the words quite appropriately, as proud as we are to be here in the US. Welcome, everyone. My name is Judy Olian. I have the honor and privilege to be the Dean of UCLA Anderson, and I want to welcome each of you to the 2016 UCLA Anderson Master of Financial Engineering Commencement Ceremony, and it's a special day for our students and graduates. We also welcome those taking in the festivities today on different devices. We are in the 21st century of the digital age. We're webcasting this ceremony so that family and friends around the world can join us virtually. So if you are viewing commencement today on your phone, tablet, or even laptop, we are happy for everyone, no matter where you are, no matter what time it is, for you to join us. Welcome to UCLA. Sometimes in academia, we talk about the schools or programs where we received our degrees. That is, of course, correct, but I prefer to characterize it as where we have earned our degrees, where you have earned your MFE degree. That's because the MFE, the Master of Financial Engineering, you earned, takes a lot of work, takes discipline, dedication, an incredible amount of perseverance and passion for the subject. That doesn't happen in a vacuum. For each of you, the day has arrived partly because of the help and support of those close to you, your family, your friends, your classmate, maybe even your favorite barista. They have shown their support and love by encouraging you, by understanding, by being there when you needed it, and by giving you space or time where you needed that instead. So, graduates, please join me in thanking all of the beloved family and friends you've invited to share with you in this special day, no matter where they are in the world. Let's give them a big hand. We're also grateful today to have our fantastic Anderson faculty here, some of them who are with us, who have taught you. Our graduates know this, but perhaps our guests don't. The finance faculty at UCLA rival the very best in the world. We're very proud of them. And so please recognize the key role that they've played in the education of our graduates and in helping every one of our students every day. So thank you, faculty. And of course, the fabulous staff of the MFE program. They deserve a big shout out because they too are with you. Each year around this time, I welcome the next class of MFE students to the Anderson family, and I tell them, I think with authenticity and truthfulness, how special our MFE program is. That's because at our commencement ceremonies each year, it's clear to me how tight-knit our MFE classes have become. That special bond, that camaraderie is evident everywhere, including today. That's what we mean by shared success. Those connections among you will last for a long time, and for some of you, I believe, for life. You did this with the help of your family, friends, and faculty, and I think with the support from each other. So I think you should just turn to each other and give each other a high five right there. They've been great. For the last 14 months, Anderson, this campus has been your home. We've loved to have you as part of our family, and it will always be your home as alumni. And we'll look forward to welcome you back for visits over the course of your life, and to cheer you on with your accomplishments, and frankly, to ride your coattails as you become very successful. At Anderson, you've all shared in this special opportunity to learn, to grow, to change your worldview, an opportunity that's been made even more exceptional because of everything that UCLA and UCLA Anderson represents. This experience is also special because of what each of you has brought to the table: your intelligence, your talents, your experiences, and what you stand for as individuals in your lives and in your careers to this point and going forward. We talk about Anderson students and alumni sharing success, that you also think fearlessly and drive change, those three pillars being essential to the Anderson family. Those qualities are not just a set of ideals here at Anderson, they're also a challenge for each of us to meet each day. They're standards for living that I hope and know that you will live up to and by in every part of your lives going forward. Sharing success is a key aspect of what sets the school apart. That doesn't mean we avoid competition. Competition is fine. We strive for individual excellence, yet when we compete, we do so with integrity and respect, and sometimes even admiration for the competition. And without the elbowing and self-centeredness that describes some of those who try to win at any cost. You are bold, you are fearless, impatient for results, and generous in supporting others. That's the Anderson ethos of sharing success, thinking fearlessly, and driving change. You've chosen to become MFEs, some say quants. You are 64 graduating students, Anderson's 8th graduating class of MFEs. You know a lot about numbers, models, risk, and portfolio. But your field also has artfulness to it that requires nuanced judgment, sometimes restraint, emotional fortitude, ethics and integrity, and big picture rather than insular thinking. We hope that in addition to the quant stuff that you've learned, that we also taught you something about judgment under uncertainty, integrity, and restraint in the art of your field. Today, the value of financial engineering grows every day, provided you combine the quant with the artful judgment, which I know you will, because that's what you've spent a lot of time on. Our faculty taught you about models. They also taught you to consider what is right for your company and communities, to go beyond personal interest. I know that you'll carry that responsibility with the greatest respect, understanding that the effect you could have on the world will be powerful and profound. So one must treat that responsibility with great deference and care. I know that you will make us proud. Now, one of my great pleasures as dean is the chance to meet alumni from all of our programs when I visit them in cities around the country and around the world. At each meeting, I ask our alumni to take on the same 4 challenges. Now, as you become Anderson alumni, I'm going to issue that same challenge to you. The first is to have a one-to-one relationship with our school. Every alumni or alumnus should hire at least one Anderson intern, at least one Anderson graduate. Bring one candidate to any one of our master's programs. Mentor at least one of our current students or engage in at least one field study project. So that's challenge number 1. 2, practice 24-hour turnaround in response to communication from fellow Anderson alumni, students, or prospects. Show that it means something to be part of this special Anderson family. 3rd, be engaged, be involved, fly the flag, be evangelists, be a global ambassador on behalf of Anderson. Talk about the great experience that you had here at Anderson, wherever you are. And 4th, give back to the school in your passions, in your dollars or yen or yuan or rupees or whatever it might be. Rupees might be a challenge these days, actually. Be the alumni or alumnus that you wanted to meet when you were a student. We expect that all of our alumni will display these 4 passions, and now that we expect that of all of you. So today, one part of the chapter in the book is closing in your lives. We know that the next chapter will be just as exciting, and we can't wait to see what will unfold in that chapter. So our warmest congratulations on your successes, and we can't wait to see what you will do next. It's now my great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Tad Revell. He is Group Managing Director and Chief Investment Officer of Fixed Income at Los Angeles-based TCW. First and foremost, I will mention one key characteristic of Tad's background. He earned his MBA at UCLA Anderson in the class of 1990. At TCW, Tad oversees more than $160 billion in U.S. fixed income assets, including more than $100 billion of U.S. fixed income funds under the TCW Funds, and the Met West Funds brands. Before joining TCW, he served as Chief Investment Officer for Met West, an independent institutional investment management firm that he founded 2 decades ago with 2 other partners, which was then acquired by TCW in 2009. The Met West investment team has been recognized with many accolades, including being Fixed Income Manager of the Year as rated by Morningstar. Earlier in his career, Tad was co-director of fixed income at Hotchkiss & Wiley and a portfolio manager at PIMCO. Just last month, MetWest surpassed PIMCO as the largest actively managed bond fund in the United States. And that was big news throughout the financial press, as I'm sure many of you saw that. Tad and his partners have managed the MetWest Fund since its inception in 1997. And it's grown that fund by about $10 billion this year. And that fund alone is about $80 billion in assets under management. Tad is the brains behind the investment funds he manages. He shuns the limelight, so we're very fortunate that he's here today. And he prefers to focus on developing his team and really dissecting and understanding the fundamentals of global markets. So we're in for a treat. Please welcome Tad Revell.
Well, thank you for that very kind introduction. And let me say that I'm honored to have the privilege to address all of you, the graduates of this very fine university. And I'd like to extend my congratulations as well as it relates to completing the journey that brought you today to this ceremony. You've tasked yourselves with mastering the academic rigor for the degree that is about to be granted on your way. And that part of the journey, as the dean mentioned, is now ended. But every ending, of course, is a new beginning. And with that thought in mind, I think I would like to share some of my observations about the world of finance that you're about to either enter or maybe in some cases actually re-enter. I apologize. I actually have a lengthy speech here, and hopefully we won't all fall asleep while I'm delivering it. But I'm going to rely on my spectacles in order to be able to deliver it the way I wrote it. So here you are. You've mastered the foundations of financial engineering, and no doubt you're eager to take your newly developed skills and insights and put them to work in the service of your employers. This is well and good, and yet having a well-developed quantitative and technical repertoire is rarely sufficient to achieve a full measure of professional success. I actually started my career as an aerospace engineer once, a very long time ago, probably long before financial engineering actually even became a discipline in its own right. And so I think I can perhaps share some insight into the ways that engineers think about problems that come their way, and with that, maybe build upon it and perhaps share some insights as to how the thinking that it relates to engineering can be further extended. So laudably, I would say it this way, is engineers excel at the specification of problems. And they do this, of course, by mastering the details, excuse me, and solving for the cost-benefit trade-offs that are inherent in all human endeavors, okay? But the problem with mastering the details, as we all well recognize, is sometimes the forest gets lost for the trees. Oftentimes, rigor and technical elegance gets exalted above getting to the right result. But those that pay our salaries, either directly or indirectly, pay for utility. Someone somewhere has a portfolio to optimize or a stream of cash flows to value. And, putting it bluntly, no one is really that interested in my model or your model per se. What everyone cares about is not the technical elegance of a solution, nor whether the technical elegance is ostensibly supposed to demonstrate the competence of the person who built it. Rather, obviously, the customer, the client, needs an answer. He's interested in finding someone who will take ownership of his problem and work shoulder to shoulder with him to find a solution. So in commerce, as in life, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And this brings me to the second observation about the rules of business. In fact, if you work long enough or live long enough, you come to understand that there are a whole host of rules that are never written down, and they can only be learned through experience and observation. The rules hide in plain sight, and so like the fishes who don't realize that they're surrounded by water, so we too are often oblivious to the bigger picture. Learning the rules means maximizing your chances for success. Staying oblivious to the rules can mean professional stagnation. So what am I alluding to? It's simply this, that when we make the effort to see the world through the eyes of others, our employers, our clients, our colleagues, our rivals, we're suddenly able to maximize our contribution to our firm, our colleagues, and ultimately to ourselves. Paraphrasing the words of John F. Kennedy, ask not what others can do for you, but rather what you can do for others. When you focus on the interests and needs of others, your boss, your customers, the marketplace, you're maximizing your utility and ultimately demonstrating that you are a person that should be further empowered and additionally compensated. So this is not actually an altruistic point of view per se, it's rather just a very thoughtful and practical one. There's a corollary to this rule as well. It is this: all too frequently, we humans fall prey to an unconscious way of thinking that goes like this. My beliefs about what is important and my ways of doing things are right, and if you think differently or you act differently, you're not just different, you're wrong. But the true beauty of an education, whether it occurs at a university, within a relationship, or in a business, is appreciating that we humans each have a unique perspective, and rather than judge what is right or wrong, or what is fair or not, recognize that these are inherently subjective judgments. They are not scientific truths. Let me give you an illustration. Were a company to receive a windfall, and it asked its employees to determine a fair way to distribute the windfall, what would be the result? Think about that for a moment. One person would say that the windfall is rightfully his because he's worked there the longest. Another would say it's rightfully mine because I've worked here, I work harder than everybody. A third person would say, well, it's fairly mine because I generate the most revenue. A fourth would say, well, I have the largest family, and so I have the greatest need. The point is simple, is that just because an approach sounds managerially fair to you personally doesn't guarantee that others are going to automatically agree with you. There are other professional rules that are worth emphasizing as well. It's been said that in your 20s, you're paid to use your back. I'm speaking metaphorically, of course. What I mean is that when we're newbies, our knowledge is limited, our conceptual grasp of a business is threadbare. As a result, a young person is expected to put in the hours to provide a kind of operating leverage for those for whom you work, and to prove yourself worthy of further mentorship. In your 30s, the rules change a bit. Employers still care about the sweat you put into your job, but they're expecting more. They now want to see that you can put the knowledge of the business in service for the business. You're now getting paid to put your human capital to work. By the time you get into your 40s, your employer, maybe yourself by then, wants to see more than hard work and knowledge. He wants to see that you can exercise judgment, that you know what matters and that you can balance competing concerns and interests. By this point, you must have not just a technical or operational understanding of what you do, but rather a conceptual understanding as well. In short, those that count on you need to know that you know what counts, that you get it, and that you can be empowered to render judgment, possibly with respect to billions of dollars of financial capital. All right, so I've spouted on the importance of learning the unwritten rules, and I'd like to share some conceptual observations, I think also mostly unwritten, of finance looked at from 10,000 feet. These are my personal views, of course. They're based upon my 28 years in the asset management industry, and some of you will have contrasting perspectives. And let me begin by counterintuitively saying what I think finance is not. Finance is not a game wherein its participants play with other people's life savings. It's not an incomprehensible activity that has to be left to a priesthood of specialists to understand. What finance actually is a market-based coordinating mechanism that allows millions of people to vote their wants and their preferences with their dollars so that the greater system can deliver what people want and can afford. In so doing, it ensures that profitable activities get funded and expanded while inefficient or obsolete activities get defunded. Finance is predicated on the notion that economic democracy allows for the maximum satisfaction of a myriad of ever-changing and subjective human wants. Of course, finance accomplishes its objectives through the pricing of assets in the capital markets and through the intermediation of credit in the bond market. As important as it is for the finance industry to continually move in the direction of the right result, let's also realize that markets are a human creation. They express not just our wants and hopes, but also our fears and our self-regarding impulses. Markets are a reflection of ourselves. Hence, when building a model, let's remember that markets are both rational and irrational, because we are both rational and irrational. There can be no model that, with the insertion of still more mathematical rigor, will perfectly capture the irrational in all of us. As such, keep in mind that at some point, adding complexity to a model is a fool's errand. Trying to model illogic is illogical. Rather consider, financial service firms are well compensated for their services by the rest of the global economy. Notwithstanding the label of being a branch of the dismal science, financial firms are able to compensate their employees with wages that are anything but dismal. But what are financial firms here for? What are they all about? In short, why has the market determined that the services of financial businesses are so valuable? Let's remember that financial markets have evolved to help us foster and govern progress. Life is always changing, technology always advancing, and we are always aging. If an economy is comprised of constellations of labor and capital that we call companies, then we further recognize that within this zoo, there are all manner of enterprises. These enterprises buy their inputs on the open market, they change their form, they add value to them, and then they ultimately resell the output for a profit. The role of the finance industry and you, its practitioners, is to understand the essential nature of these firms and how we might value their assets. It is the collective wisdom of the capital markets as worked through its agents, that's you, that enables a meritocratic outcome where the best ideas and the best run businesses get more resource. A well-oiled finance industry ensures that the growth-inducing processes of Schumpeterian creative destruction are enabled. In this sense, perhaps we should think of finance as the brains of capitalism. Without the decentralized intelligence of the capital market, the rest of the economy loses its coordinating mechanisms. So we do well to remember that just as no one hires second-rate brain surgeons, no one needs a second-rate financial service firm. As trite as it sounds, strive for excellence, as second prize in finance may very well mean that you're going to go out of business. So let me conclude by making a few final points. Maybe these were implicit in what's already been said, but okay, here goes. Number one, financial modeling and analysis is valuable not because it's elegant and sophisticated, but because it provides insights and it helps solve problems. The world is a complex place, and regardless of the skill of the model builder, the world doesn't have to conform to your model. Number three, markets are a reflection of us, and modeling both the rational and the irrational is impossible. Capital markets are a marvelous invention, and the opportunity to work in this industry is a true privilege. So let me celebrate your success and achievements, and may you all do well and prosper. Thank you.
Ted, thank you very much for your insightful remarks. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Mike Chernoff. I'm a faculty director of the MFE program, and I'm a professor of finance here at Anderson. Congratulations to the graduates, their families and friends. That's a very important day in your life. And so it's my pleasure to introduce the next speaker today, who is going to be the president of the class. So each year, the MFE graduating class chooses one of the members to represent the class as a speaker for graduates. President, I got ahead of myself, sorry. So I'm pleased to introduce George Bornbright to speak to the class of 2016. George.
Thank you, Professor Chernoff. Good afternoon, Dean Olian, Mr. Revelle, faculty, staff, family, friends, and last but certainly not least, MFE class of 2016. When we arrived in October of last year, our class brought an incredibly impressive resume. We represent 19 countries. We brought 24 graduate degrees with us. We came from companies like BNP, Deloitte, HSBC. Our class of 64 was hand-selected from a pool of over 700 applicants. You can believe me when I say these are some of the best and brightest minds you can imagine. Now, just over one short year later, We've made it. Congratulations, 2016. Graduation day is here. I'll do my best to quickly describe the the program to our guests in a few short sentences, but I'm sure your graduate will tell you after I'm done that I didn't even cover half of it. Let's see. We arrive in October, green behind the ears, not really knowing what to expect. We're thrown into a packed orientation week, and before we can catch our breath, classes start. I think a few of us remember how Professor Rossi scared the living daylights out of us in those first few lectures. I know it was an abrupt reality check for me. Flash forward a few Anderson afternoons later, I like to think these as networking skills seminars, and classes are over for winter break. At this point, we still really don't know what's about to hit us. We pick back up in January with some early mornings and some late evenings. For me personally, empirical methods and stochastic calculus were the real crowd pleasers, but shared time with the more user-friendly corporate finance and derivative markets. About halfway through the quarter, a lot of us started looking really hard for that light at the end of the tunnel. Really hard. But before we knew it, the end of spring quarter was here, and a few of us were going on trips to San Francisco, New York, and Chicago for some professional orientation. Back to Anderson for spring quarter. Can't get any harder, right? Wrong. Quant asset management and fixed income markets back-to-back on Friday afternoons meant that MFEs wouldn't be getting into any trouble on Friday nights. Computational methods and risk management rounded out a challenging quarter. Luca, do you have a question right now? Are you kidding me? I'll get you after. We'll answer after. Ahmed, you want to chime in while I'm at it? Moving on. Mixed into the challenging quarter was our relentless search for internship opportunities. But when we finally started in the summer, it was a welcome break from all the coursework. Unfortunately, all of our internships ended way too quickly as summer seemed to fly by and we found ourselves back in classes before long, finishing out the program with courses in credit markets, statistical arbitrage, behavioral finance, and data analytics. We also cannot forget our applied finance projects, which gave us extremely valuable, practical experience and well equipped us for the rigors of full-time job search. And finally, graduation, a day long awaited by us all. Before we leave here today, we would be remiss not to thank all of our wonderful support here at Anderson. To every single one of our professors, a most sincere thank you for all of your time, knowledge, and especially patience. Thank you so much. Don't be afraid to admit you like us better than your MBA students. We'll leave it in the room here. To Sandy, our Career Services Director, thank you for all of your tireless effort in providing every resource to us to be successful in the internship and job markets. Quick aside, Sandy, among a million other things she did, put together industry speakers for us on an almost weekly basis. The speakers would come in, talk to us about current events, different roles and opportunities for financial engineers. And she knew that these sessions would be extremely helpful for us to pinpoint our job interests and improve our interviewing skills. She also knew that free food is the key to every MFE's heart. So thank you, Sandy, for the extra 5 to 10 pounds we all gained. To the MFE office, Elisa, Leanna, and Nikki. Truly, truly a heartfelt thank you. From day one, the MFE office had our success as their first priority. I'm sure everyone here would agree with that. They did all the work in the background, often without notice, to make our program run smoothly, and they did a terrific job. To our families, thank you for your undying love and support, and for not scolding us when we were missing in action for weeks on end, then suddenly showing up with loads of laundry to do on your doorstep. We couldn't have done it without you all. Thank you. I know that I speak on behalf of the class when I say we're all very excited to be here today. This past year has been full of challenges for each of us. For some, including myself, it was learning to speak the language of finance. For others, it was learning how to handle the intense workload and manage time effectively. Still others worked tirelessly through internships and professional projects to ensure they were ready to dive into a challenging workspace. But one thing I know is true for all of us. We have made lifelong friendships having weathered this program together. I think by now you all get the picture. This is a challenging program, but so is the workspace we have decided to enter. The quantitative space is incredibly dynamic and demands that its constituents are as well. Procedures and methods are constantly evolving. The tools and knowledge we have are changing as often as the environment is. This means every day we must challenge ourselves to grow and succeed. I encourage each of you to use your incredible talents and newly cultivated knowledge to make a positive impact wherever you go. Be bold and inventive. Challenge the standard and set new ones. Think outside the box. Take risks and never be afraid to fail. Keep up the press, 2016. The stage has been set, and I know we are all eager to start the next act. We have a bright future ahead of us. Let us take advantage of the opportunities we've all earned. Godspeed and good luck.
Thank you, George. And now it is time for the class president, Ruchi Gupta. She will present the MFE Teaching Excellence Award. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Chernoff. Good afternoon, esteemed faculty, friends, and guests. I'm honored to represent my batch in presenting the MFE Teaching Excellence Award today. It took us more than a vote to decide on this award. From endless lounge discussions to post-lecture debates, we did it all. It was no easy feat to pick our favorite from a faculty as esteemed as ours. Being taught by the greats whose theories and models serve as the backbone of modern financial world was truly an experience of a lifetime. There are fewer classrooms on this earth that give you a slice of the academic, corporate, and ethical challenges of the real world. We will remain grateful to our professors who not only made sure to inject the theories into our minds, but gave us a slice of their life experiences and perspectives. Today, we commemorate these learnings by honoring one of our finest professors, Professor Levon Gokashian. We are not the only batch to have picked Professor Gokashian as our favorite. This marks his 4th win in the 8-year history of the MFE program. We will forever be grateful for his contribution in shaping our futures. He made sure that we are able to create the most formidable valuation models and are equipped to handle the most convoluted interview questions. His progressive and inclusive approach towards learning kept us thoroughly invested in his subject throughout the course of the program. Every success and professional milestone in our quantitative finance careers would be reminiscent of the computational finance assignments that kept us on our toes for most of the spring quarter. I congratulate Professor Gokashian on his win and wish him well on all his future endeavors. Unfortunately, Professor Gokashian is unable to be here today to accept this award, so he wanted me to read something out to you on his behalf. Dear students, I would really like to be here today to see and congratulate you in person, but I have a commitment elsewhere that I could not reschedule. I'm honored that you selected me to receive the MFE Teaching Excellence Award and would like to express my sincere gratitude for your consideration. This award is especially meaningful to me because I know that I was among so many great professors you had during your studies. It has been a pleasure to develop and teach the computational finance course over the last few years. I know that the course projects were at times challenging. They would take the lion's share of your time, and I'm aware that you had sleepless nights and days that you spent on some of these projects. But your decision to award me with this award is a manifestation that you thought it was all worth it, and that as a result, you're more skillful and marketable. I hope that you will have great careers, become successful practitioners in your fields, equipped with technical skills and ethical values, and would contribute to the great MFE program at UCLA Anderson. I wish you the best of luck. Levon Gokashin. Thank you, Professor Gokashin. We'll make sure that you get this award. Please give a big round of applause to Professor Gokashin. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruchi. So we will now confer the degree of Master of Financial Engineering to the class of 2016. The MFA Executive Director, Elisa Dunn, will read the name of each candidate.
Give me a degree. So what you're going to do is hand this and then walk over there. Walk over. She's
To
going
the
to
front,
read your
yeah.
name.
Okay. Anurad Vyas, Pranav Patwardhan, Zihan Zhang. Okay. Hey, just so we can hear everyone's names, let's wait for the clapping to the end. Thanks. Ichi Chen, Long Lexus Ted, George Bonbright.
Elisa.
Oh, slow down.
Okay, slow down. Here you go. Okay, now
Ruchi Gupta. Kate Mapstone. Kyle Kinglaw. Sandeep Reddy Varaganti. Rajesh Putamsetti. Damodaran Sugumaran. Sarah Abid. Sonali Chabria. Parto Bose. Jason Mercurio. Ashwin Kumar. Padmini Pasumarti. Shirish Upadhyay. Parichit Dev. Ihab Selmi. Ritesh Chopra. Siddharth Madan. Sasikanth Nagala. Peter Drambulas. Younghyun Yu. Randy Williams Hidayat. Atsushi Okumura. Jaideep Singh. Gregoire Doucet. Tanner Post. Luka Vidovic. Hayu Zhang. Pengbo Feng. Shuyang Pen. Haohua Ji. Rushiang Shan Lu. Shimang Zhang. Siavash Soleimani. Jingsong Chi. Charlie Lin. Gabriel Cuevas. Ahmed Hawass. Kurt Dorn. Tor Siverud. Bertan Sevinch. Bahar Abgari. Gurunat Dazari. Atika Raj. Wei Wei. Pojang Jack Chiu. Chichen Kao. Sini Amanda Liu. Nantao Ying. Muhong Zhou. Jingyu Katie Chu. Zhaofeng Shi. Chong Feng. Justin Holt. Ajay Venkata Krishnan. Last but not least. Kaushik Budireddy.
Good job. You did a great job.
Will the candidates for the Masters of Financial Engineering degree please rise? By the power vested in me by the Regents of the University of California, I bestow upon you the degree of Master of Financial Engineering and all of the rights and privileges to which this degree entitles you. Congratulations. So thank you for joining us today on this wonderful celebration for the MFE class of 2016. We are so proud of you and will track you and follow you to see all of the successes that you will bring. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll just stay seated until the faculty and graduates have left the hall, and then please join us in the executive dining room downstairs in the C building, in the B building, in Gold Hall? In Gold Hall, for a celebration on behalf of the graduates. Thank you all, and have a wonderful weekend, year, and great life after Anderson. Thank you.